because of the fact that my family have always fought for justice and right. Even though my parents, when they came to the UK, racism was rife. There's no denying that. It was a different time. But they refused to be defined or curtailed by it and succeeded despite of it. My father became an electrical engineer and my mother a civil servant. But my parents taught my sisters and I quite from an early age not to let racism or racist people define us, and therefore she was quite strong in teaching us how to confront it head on, which meant never taking a backward step or worse still letting any aggression slide. And this was in the backdrop of all of the things that were going on back then. So it's going to be quite interesting as we move forward what happens. But within the professions, there is an underrepresentation. It is still predominantly white, but we are getting better. The RIBA, the industries, the big practices are doing what we can to try and introduce architecture and other disciplines to people from deprived backgrounds, because that generally is the thing. If you don't get them before they get to about 18 and they go into third level education, it's difficult for someone to say, "Oh, I'm going to do architecture." It's also about trying to get those parents to understand that you can actually have a good career by studying architecture. Most people, it's that generational immigrant generational thing about, well, if you come here, I want you to be a doctor or a lawyer, because those are tangible things.
Right.
And also the cost of study. Architecture is still one of the most expensive courses to study. It's 5 years to get to your second degree, and then another 2 years of practical training before you can sit your final exams. So if you're lucky, that's 7 years. And obviously you're paying for it. Whereas you can actually start getting the rewards of your labor as an accountant or a lawyer after year 3. The reason I've gotten involved in the RIBA is because, first of all, there was a massive underrepresentation of the people from ethnic backgrounds. I suppose when you get to a position within your profession, someone who is a well-known architect from a successful practice, who also teaches at one of the top schools in the country, if not the world, you have a bit of, dare I say, you're able to try and make things happen. And I'm always of the opinion that it's easier to change things from the inside than sitting on the outside banging on the window. And the first thing is that one has to step up. You cannot you cannot achieve without giving back, because it is my profession. I also want, again, that whole thing is you cannot be what you cannot see, and try and be, dare I say, a role model so that others can climb on my back and achieve greater things. And I make that call out to other architects from ethnic backgrounds that, you're doing all right, but what are you doing for the next generation? Because we're doing our stuff, but there's the next generation coming on. It's just like when you play sport, you don't own the shirt, you're just looking after it, hoping that the person that you pass it on to will do a better job. And the only way that's going to happen is if you give someone a leg up and you try and show them